crowded prisons in the world. Meeting the men who are lost in a system and who the outside world has long forgotten. Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. It's a country where very little works. The effects of the earthquake in 2010 are still visible. It devastated the nation, killing more than 250,000 people and destroying most of Haiti's infrastructure.
Yeah, that's gotta suck. Haiti looks absolutely terrible. It looks like hell.
Most people here survive on just $2 a day, and the capital of Port-au-Prince is plagued by crime.
I've come to meet one of the most influential women in Haiti. Florence Elie is the protector of citizens, and it's her job to make sure that the government here looks after its citizens' human rights.
I've arranged to meet her at the National Penitentiary, where nearly half of the country's prisoners are locked up. It's home to
This is going to make U.S. prisons seem like a playground.
more than 4,000 inmates. Among them are some of Haiti's most violent convicted murderers, rapists and kidnappers.
Tu m'accompagnes? Oh, merci. Merci beaucoup.
It's Florence's job to document human rights abuses all over the country.
Bonjour.
But she spends much of her time here
You can't behave yourself in society. Get the fuck out.
because she suspects many of these men shouldn't even be in prison.
If you suspect that they shouldn't be in prison, why are they in prison? Do you guys not have any form of trial? Like, what's going on? What's the legal system like over there?
The prisoners have named this block the Titanic.
This place is notorious, and Florence is surrounded by people. They're all desperate to try and tell her their story and get some assistance to get out. Does this happen every time you come in?
Chaque fois. Toutes les fois que je viens ici, c'est la même chose.
That guy looked like Little Reese, the rapper, the Chicago rapper, Lil Reese. How'd Lil Reese get in there?
Their story and get some assistance to get out. Does this happen every time you come in?
That guy.
Chaque fois.
Lil Reese.
Toutes les fois que je viens ici, c'est la même chose.
The first thing that hits you is the smell. Sweat, feces,
Yeah, it
urine.
looks like it's gonna smell
That
like
and
a
the
fucking
barrage
zoo
of
in there.
noise.
I've only been in here for about 5 minutes. I'm starting to freak out. It's totally crammed full of human bodies and everyone's desperate. They're trying to get water, they're trying to get food. They're trying to stay alive.
Kind of just looks like a nice shelter. No, never
They're
mind.
locked up in these cells
Never
for
mind.
23 hours a
It's
day.
awful. They're eating
As we
sludge.
arrive, it's breakfast. And the inmates are collecting their rations. We count 60 prisoners coming out.
Where are the guards at?
But inside, I count only 18 beds.
Okay, so they're making beds
The
out
extra
of
men
rope
sleep in
and
makeshift
twine.
hammocks or
Hammocks,
fight for
yeah.
space on the floor. At 72 years of age, Florence is known as Mamie Flo. For many of these men, she's their only hope.
I'm surprised this place can even keep them contained. It just looks so run down. It looks like there would be fucking escape routes everywhere in that piece of shit. It doesn't look like they have any system for keeping a head count on these people. Doesn't look like they have cameras. How are they
And I
containing these
keep
folks?
being handed pieces of
Where are
paper.
the guards with guns?
Okay.
Say, I got this 6 years ago.
Like me, Florence is bombarded. Some of the prisoners tell me they've been here for 10 years without ever facing a trial.
10 years, no trial?
We're getting this really overwhelming sense of responsibility. I've got all these little pieces of paper on my hands. Some of them
Sounds like YNW
scribbled on the
Melly
back
in
of
the
cigarette
US.
packets.
10 years, no trial.
For some people, this is their
Or
only
multiple
lifeline.
trials.
This is the only way to explain what's happened to them.
The prison guards agreed to let me speak with one of the inmates privately.
Même son assistant, l'aime passer pompier, il va jamais aller au tribunal.
He says the police grabbed him as he was walking through a market, but he has no idea what the charge is. The 2010 earthquake
You looked
sparked a
at
mass
the officer
prison
wrong,
break.
man. Sometimes it's how it goes
Jean
over
escaped, along with the other
there. You gave
prisoners,
a mean
but
mug,
was
cop
later
locked you
rearrested.
up. Now you're doing 10 years. If I get elected, I'll set you free. I don't think that's going to happen, brother. I'm sorry to hear this. This is a sad sight.
C'est mon cap, moi, je vais pas mon corps parce que ma maison là, c'est pour dire mon
Well, I wonder if he actually did something bad or not.
The law states anyone arrested should be brought before a judge within 48 hours. But in reality, that hardly ever happens. Florence takes me to see the prison governor.
On a un espace de 1200 détenus. On est obligé de garder aujourd'hui 4359.
Okay, so they have space for 1,200 detainees, but they have close to 4,400. How are you guys not dealing with prison, the prisoners rebelling? That's what I want to know. You guys seem outnumbered.
Wow.
To a severe degree.
That's nearly 400% over capacity.
Il y a environ 529 qui sont condamnés. Et
Only 500
on a
are
3830 détenus qui sont en détention préventive prolongée.
Mais c'est beaucoup, pourquoi?
Oui, c'est beaucoup.
It's no wonder there's so much desperation among the inmates. 80% of them have never even been convicted.
Yeah, if you get locked up, you just get locked up over there, huh? That's it.
Sur
No trial.
le nombre des détenus qui sont en détention préventive prolongée.
Ouais.
C'est pas à moi de juger les autorités de la justice.
I want to track down a judge, so I'm heading across town to the courthouse, the Palais de Justice.
There are more than 3,000 people in the main prison who haven't yet been tried. From what I've managed to find out, the real logjam is happening at the Palais de Justice.
60% of government buildings were destroyed in the earthquake, including the old courthouse. Even though it's now been moved to a new building, the justice system is still struggling to recover.
That's why we have to be so thankful for the U.S. and the condition that us as Americans live in.
Ça va?
Florence knows most people in this building. If anyone can find a judge, it's her.
Oh, oh. Mais... Fermé. Ah, il me semble qu'il n'est pas là.
Non.
Non, il n'est pas là non plus. C'est bon, on peut aller dans une des chambres pour voir s'il y a des procès en cours. On va voir ça.
Okay.
Bonjour, oui. Ils sont
I'm starting to get a sense of why it's so hard for people to get a trial in Haiti. I've been in here for 10 minutes with Florence. She's knocked on 2 or 3 doors. She's had to walk into a courtroom, and she still can't find a judge. Can we find some judges to speak to?
L'année judiciaire recommence en octobre.
Is this why there are 3,000 people in
Il y
prison
a
waiting
quelques
judgment?
cas, il y a quelques cas.
I'm told the judges have a 2-month holiday
Yeah, it's a societal behavioral issue here. You guys don't have people doing what they actually need to do. You have a lot of people just sitting around being lazy.
every year. And even when they're working, they only do part-time hours.
Part-time
Found a
hours.
judge.
You can't do part-time hours in a failing country. You need to be doing overtime hours in that shithole.
Notre Fofo n'est pas en Haïti.
No, we haven't. We found his assistant. This is impossible.
Merci beaucoup. Il n'est pas là. He's not in Haiti. Comment ça va?
But it's not just the lack of judges that's causing the backlog of cases.
Ce sont les dossiers. Le problème, c'est pas seulement le juge. C'est tout ce qui supporte son travail.
The guys in prison who tell me I don't know where my file is, nothing's happening.
Vous montrer qu'il y a du désordre.
They're not even in alphabetical order, Florence.
Yeah, you're going to need people that actually care about efficiency, care about protocol, care about systems and organization. What the fuck is going on with these stacks of fucking paper? Can we get real? We need a purge. This place needs to be purged. No more incompetent workers.
Sorry, it's really making me quite angry.
This shit is
I think this is one of the
unreal.
most frustrating things that I've experienced since I got here. I'm going through my book and I'm looking at all the
They
names
don't take it seriously. You have people sitting in prisons, and that's how you're handling paperwork. You need to be scanning it into a system.
of the prisoners who keep coming up to me and begging me to help them. Solomon, Francis, Wesley, Johnny. All of their files are in there somewhere, but nobody could ever find them. It's complete chaos.
The Haitian justice system relies
They need better leadership. They need leaders that are going to step up and they actually care about the people. This right here, the problem is a lot of these countries, they don't want to fall in line with leadership and the right leadership because clearly they have the wrong leadership.
entirely on
They need a much stricter regime. They need a regime that's going to come down hard on them and it's going to get the population to do what needs to get done.
handwritten documents. On top of that,
Like, what the fuck is going on here? This is...
40% of Haitians can't even read and write. So if they can't afford a lawyer, they have little hope.
They're doing fuck all, bro.
The next morning, I meet Jacques Leton. He's one of the most successful human rights lawyers in the country.
And his tie isn't
He
even
represents some of those who are lost in the system.
Et en fait, comme je disais, aux dernières assises, on est arrivé à les faire sortir de la prison après 5 ans, 7 ans, 8 ans, 9 ans, voire 10 ans.
Jacques' been battling Haiti's justice system for 10 years. This year, he's won the release.
There's no justice system to battle over there because you guys haven't built one. The infrastructure is so shit that he's not battling shit. He's just fucking punching air over there. There's nothing to battle.
Of more than 40 people who'd never even been convicted.
You gotta build up the infrastructure of this place.
Jacques representing 2 inmates who are accused of being accessories to murder. But he's found evidence their alleged victim actually died of cholera. He wants to prove there's simply no case to answer.
Depuis les années en prison.
Après, nous avons 5 ans. 5 ans, 15 mois.
That's 5 years they've served for a murder that couldn't possibly have been committed.
Now that Jacques and his team have actually met these 2 men and confirmed that they're here, confirmed that the story they received is true, they need to go up to the administration building and see if they can get hold of a document to prove that these
This place looks like a zoo.
2 men are in prison. Once they've got that, they can then go back to the courts and try to get them released.
So the first step is to actually prove they're in prison. Jacques and his team head off to speak with the prison governor to
Their suits are wrinkly. Their suits don't fit right. Nothing about this is professional in any regard.
find out why none of the archives
I get it. It's a poor country. But when you have to pay attention to the details, you have to pay attention to the little things in order to build up a system. You can't be just doing everything wrong in your life and expect things to go well.
staff are around.
Et c'est tout qu'on a fait une demande de certificat
Look at this. Look at this mess. How can you possibly work in this mess? How can you have a clear mind? How can you don't if this is the mess you work in, clearly you don't love yourself. You also don't love other people. You know, people are relying on you. You are a key factor in society. You need to have your place organized. That way you can work efficiently. That way your work can have an outcome that's going to benefit society. And if everyone comes together and does that, you wouldn't have a shithole here.
Le responsable, il est en formation.
Et vous savez pourquoi il demande que vous donniez des certificats de cours? Parce que
Je ne suis pas responsable.
The prison governor
It's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility. bro, it is your responsibility. You live in this society, right? This is what I don't understand about these types of people that just don't give an ounce of fuck about anything, including themselves. Look how fat. He's a fat fuck. He's a fat fuck, man. I mean, tell me when you see this guy, you can tell he clearly doesn't care about himself. You think he's going to have, if he can't have responsibility over his own organs, over his own health, you think he's going to want to have responsibility over anything?
Insists there's nothing he can do. So Jacques is forced to leave the prison to find a legal official who can certify that Hervé and Lexnor exist as prisoners.
Luckily, the court that Jack needs to go to is just around the corner from the prison, so we can walk there.
Oui. Donc, on a le juge.
We bring the judge back to the penitentiary.
The two prisoners have just been brought out for a second time today so that they can appear before this local magistrate to confirm their identity.
What's he doing?
And with this document, hopefully, they can prove that these men are actually here and then start the process of actually getting them out.
It's taken 4 hours to get one piece of paper just to prove that the two men are in prison. Finally, Jacques has what he needs to take their case to court.
Is he naked? Is he naked? He looks naked.
I'm told that on average, 3 inmates die here every month. I head to the infirmary to see the conditions.
That looks extremely uncomfortable. Have you guys ever sat in the DMV and just been uncomfortable just because you're around too many people? Imagine that every single day and there's nowhere to sit and you're just trying to get a little bit of comfort in your life, but you can't because you're surrounded by 50 other people in a small ass fucking room. This is unrealistic.
The beds are full.
You're practically committing a crime on these people for them committing a crime. You might as well let them go if you're not going to be able to serve justice correctly.
There are even people sleeping under the beds.
This is torture.
Ils sont tous malades ici?
This isn't rehabilitation, this is pure
Inmates
torture.
are given 2 meals a day, but prison gruel is mostly made of flour and water.
And you don't even know if they're
Those who
innocent or
don't have
guilty.
family to bring them regular
It's just
meals
torture.
can quickly become weak and malnourished.
This place is like hell on earth. There are scores of men in there, emaciated, visibly
Look how
sick,
sweaty he is.
and they've all been crammed into the same room. I'm told that some of their families don't know they're here. Some of them have been there for years. This is where most of the deaths in this prison happen. I'm told that in one weekend, 4 people were taken out of here and rushed to emergency. 3 of them died within days.
Haiti's struggling with a cholera outbreak that was brought into the country after the earthquake. Local doctors and a foreign charity do provide medical care, but diseases like cholera travel fast here.
All the men in the cells all around here are locked in for the majority of the day. They can't even leave to go to the toilet, so they do it in a bag. And when they get tired of having a bag of poo in their cell, they just chuck it out the window because, well, you would, wouldn't you? So the longer I stand here, the more I'm...
No, you wouldn't. And this goes back to, hey guys, we need to all contribute to making this a sanitary place of living and a place you want to live.
comfortable I'm feeling.
Cramped living conditions also help the spread of tuberculosis, which kills scores of prisoners every year.
We're heading into this block of the infirmary, which is where they keep everybody who's got tuberculosis. I'm told there are over 150 people in here. Vous êtes combien ici? Vous êtes combien? 49 ici? Vous prenez des médicaments?
Nous pas jeunes sommes dans prison, stress, nous pas qu'à juger. Bon, on a passé à petite madame famille ça rend nous malades.
In many ways, this place is even more desperate than any of the other cells. These guys have to be locked in here because they're contagious. So I'm told there are 49 people locked in this cell.
Yeah, man, you shouldn't be in there. You're going to get sick. There are 49 people, all those pathogens in the air with that many people breathing that garbage.
You can see just how angry they are. They can't leave, and they can't be allowed to leave.
They're frightened they might die before they see a judge.
You guys have to break out. You guys have to find a way to just break out and rebel, even if it means you might get shot. You have to rebel in situations like this. This is pure torture. This isn't a justice system. This is just you getting fucked in life.
Even among the minority of prisoners who have been to court, there are shocking allegations of...
Imagine you're fucking driving, you get a traffic ticket, you forget to pay it. Next thing you know, you have a warrant, and then they just toss you in some shit like this.
Injustice.
How long have you been in prison for?
Paul Panel was thrown into prison in 2012. He went on trial 3 years later. Paul claims he's waiting for his release form to be handed over, something the court clerk should have done after his trial last year.
À chaque fois, ici, qui te pour papier à bon moi. Mais les m'a parlé avec elle, il fait me connaître. Si me dégaine $1000, il t'avait fait ça c'est fou moi.
We don't know if this is true, but the UN lists corruption as a major problem within Haiti's justice system.
He remembers everything to do with his case. He knows his case number, his prison number. He knows the names of the...
You can't be scared of work. You have to have a population that wants to work, and this population just doesn't seem like they give a fuck about actually working.
Lawyers, the judges, all the people who've tried to get bribes from him, and I feel like with a little bit of investigation, I might actually be able to find out what's going on here.
I just told you what's going on.
Florence offers to help me track down Paul's paperwork.
Look, and this is the type of shit that if I were the president of the United States, yeah, I'd be intervening. I'd be coming through. I'd be coming through with some military branches. We'd be setting up some type of missions in order to overthrow the fucking government. I don't give a fuck. If their government isn't going to run the shit right for the people, it needs to get overthrown. We do a regime change. We'd make sure that the standard of living is, much better than this bullshit. And we put in a much more fair justice system. And I'm not saying it's going to be the best. I'm not saying it would be, absolutely amazing. It's not going to be utopia or anything. But I will tell you, it will not be 4,400 prisoners in a prison that only has a capacity for 1,200. And you will not be sitting there and wondering if you're going to be even going to trial for 5 years. This is unrealistic. This is torment.
Donc le voilà, Paul Jean-Vanel.
Il est déjà jugé au tribunal criminel.
Oh, il a été jugé en août 2015, c'est récent.
Ok, et qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Son chef d'accusation est association de malfaiteurs, complicité de vol à mer.
So he was found guilty?
On n'a pas encore l'ordre.
Paul says he was found not guilty, but there's no record of the verdict.
Après la session, le juge s'en va à son bureau, il écrit le jugement. Right. Et c'est un huissier qui apporte l'ordre de jugement. Donc maintenant, il faudra que je sache qui était le juge qui l'a jugé.
This is like a bad dream.
Jusqu'à présent ici, on attend
le jugement de libération.
Paul's adamant the judge acquitted him a year ago, but the release form is nowhere to be seen.
He got acquitted, and he can't get a release.
Une fois que les dossiers sont perdus, eh bien le pauvre, il est perdu aussi. Tu comprends?
Without the paperwork to back up his claims, or money to pay a bribe, he's condemned to a life in prison.
Ever since I first met Paul, I've...
Condemned to a life in prison because you can't find a piece of paperwork.
Kind of wanted these details to not be true because the implications of all this, the corruption, the incompetence, the downright laziness of it all, is almost too much for me to comprehend. And then going in there and seeing the book and seeing that actually he's telling me the truth, and yet he's been left to rot in here.
There are some countries that should just give power over to the U.S. If I was the president of this country, I would just send over a formal letter expressing my concerns with the country and just handing all power over to President Trump and the U.S. to come out and actually make this shithole something worth living in.
Paul's future lies in the courthouse, but on my way there, I run into more problems.
I'm sure they'd love to help clean it up. If they got to put their military bases everywhere, the world wouldn't look at them as imperialist, and they could go over there and make it a fucking a second United States or whatever the fuck.
I've just left the prison and I was on my way to the courthouse. I wanted to try and find out what's happening with the cases of some of the men I've met in there, but as you can see, the road's blocked off. There's burning tyres here, there are more down there. I can see a group of people, there's a protest going on. I even heard gunshots a few minutes ago.
There's been infighting in the Justice Department, and the city's chief prosecutor has been transferred.
And they've shut down the courthouse with their protest, which means that any of the men in there who are hoping to get their cases heard today, it's just not going to happen.
It's a beautiful piece of land, too. Beautiful.
I want to put my findings to the Minister of Justice, Camille Edouard Jr. Haiti's had an interim government since February.
The U.S. is probably over there stealing all the resources already. And we're just like, look, we don't want to deal with fucking cleaning that fucking place up. You guys can fucking keep it. We're just going to come over there, extract our resources, and get the fuck out. And you guys, if you guys have a problem with it, we'll just fucking kill you. That's probably what the U.S. really says.
And the presidential elections are just a couple.
And in reality, the U.S. doesn't have enough room to misplace all these people somewhere else. And if this is how the population of this country wants to behave and they don't want to clean the country up, that's how it's going to end up being.
A couple of weeks away.
Now, when you've got nearly 70% of the people in prison who haven't even seen a judge yet, why don't you force the judges here to work more often and maybe even
then
train
part-time? We're not doing no more part-time. It's overtime. It's 60 to 100 hours a week.
More and employed more to get the job done.
Yo gen totalement autonomie. Moi-même comme ministre justice, moi pas gen autorité de discipline pour me sanctionner.
And when was the last time you actually punished somebody for corruption in this system?
Côté que les difficile pour faire ça les traçabilité. Seulement le non gain évidence.
The National Penitentiary is totally overcrowded. It's 4 times over capacity, and that's a breeding ground for tuberculosis. It seems to me that your failure to provide...
Yeah, I would never, absolutely never, ever, ever, absolutely not, never. I would never travel to that country. I would never.
An efficient justice system is literally leading to people dying in prison. You're literally killing prisoners. How do you respond to that?
Premièrement, son problème nous vient joindre, c'est pas nous qui venons avec lui.
This is the problem. He's already not taking accountability. He inherited the problem, and it's not my responsibility, blah, 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 blah. It is your responsibility, fuckhead. It doesn't matter if you inherited the problem or not. You need to fix it. No more excuses.
C'est défaillant système pendant des années qui bat résultat ça.
After the election, he hopes to tackle the number of pre-trial detainees and halve the prison population.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Jacques finally made it to the main courthouse to try and free Harvey and Lexinol, the men accused of murdering a woman who was later found to have died of cholera.
The case that Jacques and his team are getting ready for is known as a habeas corpus. He's essentially trying to argue that his clients have been wrongfully imprisoned. They don't need a hearing, they don't need an investigation, they simply need the judge to agree that there is no case to answer and they need to be freed immediately.
Sounds easy enough.
And in order to do that, he needs to get a number of legal officials together in the same room and before a judge.
In the next half hour, these 5 lawyers are going to find out if weeks' worth of work is going to pay off.
It's now in the hands of this judge.
I hope it does, bro. Illegal nature of detention. Without delay.
The judge prepares to give his verdict.
This is the easiest verdict of all time. Beautiful.
Jacques managed to win the release of two men who between them have spent 10 years in prison for a crime they never committed. It's a small victory.
10 years.
Congratulations.
Maybe 5 and 5. I don't know.
We head back to the prison one last time.
If you're falsely imprisoned and it can be proved with 100% accuracy, the government should have to buy you something. You should be like, you should get those wages back for the amount of years you were locked up or something. You shouldn't just get fucked.
He's preparing for one of the biggest storms in a decade.
Haiti is bracing itself. It's about to get hit by a Category 4 hurricane. This could be the worst natural disaster to hit the country since the earthquake in 2010.
The prison is on lockdown. That evening, Hurricane Matthew slams into southern Haiti, killing more than 1,000 people and leaving 1.4 million in need of aid. The capital's relatively unscathed, but the south of Haiti is plunged into turmoil. The welfare of the country's prisoners will once again be low on the government's list of priorities. 1 month later, Jacques' clients Hervé and Lexinor are yet to be released. There's a dispute about their paperwork.
Wait. These are the same guys that should have just been let out. There's a dispute about the fucking paperwork?
Paul's only hope is to have another trial. But
maybe I'm tripping, I don't know. Maybe those were the guys that they lost the paperwork for, I don't know.
Since we left him, he's fallen ill and is now in quarantine.
I think I'm wrong on that. Alright, well that is the worst prison in the world, or the most ridiculous one. One of the most ridiculous ones for sure.